Hi everyone, and welcome to this second weekly market analysis. Here is Francois Ablé. Hope that you're doing very well. Today, as usual, Monday, we used to record this financial broadcast and take an overall viewing on different major assets that we used to see. So here is our weekly market debriefing. So basically, I realized that lots of people complain about like the length of like our financial broadcast. So and you guys have read. So that's why I would like stand with a like a proposal for this financial market review as the 15 to 20 minutes max, because there's a lot to see. But if I'm like going to the like deeply details on each subject, it will be very long and difficult to stay focused and following all the idea that I would like to transmit to you. So that's why I will going to the just the highlights, these things that which is very important for you for your trading. And then after you can send me a question for like things that you did not really understand. Okay, but I will run very fast, so very stay focused and see whatever we do. Okay, perfect. So here is the disclaimer. So you know the disclaimer, basically it's just to not put your money if you can't afford to lose, and also be aware about the risk on trading. You have a question about for educational tools and also training courses, please, we kindly recommend you to take a look on our website, which is globalstreettrader.com. Okay, or also send me a question with at the messenger for the official Facebook page for GSTN. Okay, so weekly market analysis number 2, like the second of this new year, which is 2019. As usual, we used to see on the Forex USD CAD, which is the most Forex trading pair that I do. Dow Jones, gold, and also the Euro bond, like the bond of like the European debt. So again, we're going to take a look quickly to the directly to the charts, and then we come back to see like the synthesis on the observation for fundamental macroeconomic views and also strategy for this week. So in USD CAD, as you see, we do evolve the chart here in the kind of fork. So as you see here, we have a kind of a slightly channel, which is some like lateralization. We broke this blue line here, and we stand up on this zone here, which is considered as the zone for possible short, because we do see here that we have a lot of an accumulation of the volume. There are buyers and seller playing around here, so it brings a lot of volatility. So that's why I said to the title, which is Politics versus Macroeconomic, who is the boss in terms of volatility. I think politics is still the boss in terms of volatility, but macroeconomy is still guiding the market. So when you will starting to doing your trading on each pair which is related for the event news, just consider the fundamental, and also just consider for the macroeconomic data as well on this product, because politics is just a game, right, between politicians. So they can send like a major news, but if you see on the long term, it doesn't at all affect the evolution of the chart. It makes sure that just make sure that you won't be at the opposite side when the market is doing is volatility, because you could also lose money. But when you see kind of like declaration or statement or those kind of announcement in terms of politics event news as the United States, same thing as we got the last Friday, where we saw a report on the GDP, China GDP, which is mentioned that the United States White House probably consider, as Stephen mentioned, to lift the tariff on Chinese products. Those kind of events is very important, but I know, but it's just like it's just politics. After we saw the spokesman said was a rumor and misinterpreted by the market, there's no question at all to lift the tariff on Chinese importation products. So that's why I said, if you consider those kind of news, you will be every time full, right? So here in the USD CAD, the scenario for this week will be just evolve to this channel with those kind of movement that then I draw for you. The strategy will be those kind of things, right? Or maybe it could go into into like the top here, and then converge to doing a pivot point onto this line here and play around there. So if you're on the intraday trading, very make sure that you do not you follow correctly this ascending or lateralization channel here, because we want doing something special. We just play around this area here, and there's nothing to do here. Is it considered as to be bullish this week, neutral or bullish this week in terms of USD CAD? But very make sure that you won't be out of that, because as you see here, the pattern, you probably doing like this kind of pattern, which is like a flag. So we do have like a massive movement previously, and then we do kind of consolidation as like the channel, and then we probably going back and get off on this channel over here. So very careful with like your trading if you're doing intraday on USD CAD. Okay, so let's move on to the Dow Jones. So technical as USD CAD, you know my point of view on the Dow Jones here. It's very special for the Dow Jones because we previously got some also lateralization, and based on the fact that we already made around 35% for the on where we consider as a bearish market. We're starting at the 22nd September to be exact. We going down on, so all this fall season were red for on the stock market, and then after the 26th December, we registered that we lose around 35%. And since the beginning of this new year, so it's just already now the third week, we doing like a massive recovering, so we can register as probably around 15% of a recover. So it just erased, probably it just like we just up for minus 20% of the loss on the financial markets registered on the S&P 500. So as this V bottom recover, as we have to consider that the like the bearish market, or we did not expecting a bearish upcoming, I would say that to be very careful, because we do also have like kind of massive POC zone here, point of control. So the white line here, and also another line which is kind of massive zone there. We could have also some of the rest of sell-off market. Okay, so when I measure this distance between the white line here and the blue line, which is representing 430 points, right, between the 24,970 to 25,400. We have 430 points, so it's will be crucial to be there. So make sure that when you trading this asset, you aware for this zone here, because it's representing a huge sell-off zone. So the market could going at the strategy going here, and then we coming back onto the line here, right? We never spend also all of the this bearish pattern, because we used to evolve already to the kind of lateralization, which is considered as a failing each time that we be here, and also those top represent that, and we never slap like the bottom of this theoretical channel that we did before. So very careful with the Dow Jones. We stay neutral or still bearish, as long as we stay below this 430 point zone. Okay, so let's move on to the gold now. So gold is starting to be bearish. I always say that I prepare all my charts to the like a Sunday, or sometimes also Saturday night. And when I was on Saturday night here, saw that we were already reintegrating the previous close and previous annual level here, so the monthly close and also the annual close, which represent for the December and last December, and also the last year, like in terms of to see where the market stay closing. And as we also, if you take carefully looking for the, if we put into the charts without the candle, we see here that we broke the bottom of like the close line for the price in terms of price. So basically the gold is bearish now because we close below this level. So we have kind of a massive vacuum zone here, a fall off. So as long as the dollar index gets strengthening, we do probably see gold will be bearish until the 1240, or it could go there. It could go until 1240 or 1250. It's not impossible. So you can readjust your position, readjust your trading on the gold. As I that now we just evolved to the ascending channel. So we probably starting to get off of this ascending channel if you do techniques of chartism like this, right? Let's consider this one. It's not beautiful. Let me draw manually because sometimes I need to be very precise. So those kind and this one. Okay. So it's a kind of widening widening wedge, ascending wedge, right? So we're very steep around here, but it's still like opening some a V. So it's a ascending wide channel. So we do probably break this level and then going to test like the 1240, which is a POC zone. So very careful with gold now. I'm recommend to you guys to be bearish there. Okay, let's finish now for the technique with like a Eurobond. Eurobond also still something complicated because we, if you're going to the daily charts, we definitely get off to this descending channel or descending wedge. We have to confirm just to pass over the 165 points before to starting the bullish movement. But as long we stuck here around there, we probably see that we've been neutral or bearish because we still could reintegrate this blue line area here. I'm aware that this blue line rectangle is kind of the previous also the monthly close and the annual also close. So there is still probably like huge probability that he be rebounds based on the also the news of also the bias on the central banks. But to be very bullish with this one, we need to pass over to overcome 165 before to make a bullish strategy. So at that time, I'm consider that Eurobond stay neutral or bearish. Okay, and technically. So now let's doing for the observation for the weekly market strategy. In terms of forex, USD CAD, as I said, stay neutral or bullish bias. You can wait and be patient, and for a steady momentum between 132,650 to $33,500. If you want to short, just waiting that we hit the top of this ascending channel at $33,500. Or also, if you want to buy USD CAD, just waiting that we close above the blue line on the fork that we study right now, which is represent at $32.80, as I mentioned, for buying intraday or scalping session. Okay, so the information relative to that is the fact that JP Morgan cuts loony outlook on new NAFTA for the UMCA. In terms of ratification risk for US withdrawal communication. So that's putting some of Canadian dollar bearish bias, because you remember at the March, the previous at the September, they doing like ratification of the new, they're doing the new agreement for the UMCA in terms of like which is considered as the old NAFTA between Mexico, United States, and Canada, and there's a lots of clash between those countries like Canada and United States, and there's like allowing a period for 6 months, but they could also apply also a ratification after 3 months, right? So that's why the spokesman for the White House asked about like the both party to apply the ratification on this new agreement. If they're not doing that, he probably withdraw for this also agreement, right? And we know that before to the me mandate, the Democrats gets the majority of the House of Representatives, so they could staying as like to be the agreement to block this agreement, because if they're not agree with that, they could also put a delay. So that's why politics, as I said, politics is a very a major factor for in terms of risk volatility, but macroeconomic data still guiding the financial markets, and then also all the macroeconomic data and economic indicators also show that the United States are pretty much good, neutral to good. So very careful with your strategy on the USD CAD. I'm bearish personally to the Canadian dollar as long as this issue should not fix it, because they will probably doing a lot of communication for withdrawal with this agreement. Okay, so this is the what I worry about this one. So it's also great and positive pace for Canadian inflation core. So that being said, we take a look carefully on the intermediary supply level for oil, because oil is part of 30% of GDP, Canadian GDP, for the 50 barrel, which is like the major and crucial threshold. As long also US dollar strengthening based on the political turmoil, which is like the partial shutdown. We also observe that President Trump canceled the Davos trip, and the spectrum of eventual Iran sanction, or also the question of risk, nuclear risk with North Korea, could also putting a massive uncertainty of upcoming to the index. So that's why I said to you to not be euphoric on the index, not just starting to buy a index as long as we pass over the 430 level on the Dow Jones, right? And there's the same thing as the S&P 500. Just because today we just studied the Dow Jones, but there's also a pretty much same pattern level on the S&P 500. So very careful with that. And to finish the forex part, we have also the risk of diplomacy escalation between China and Canada. I don't know if you're aware about that, but there's a couple Canadian citizens detained in China. One of them as possible to get some like a death sanction to the Chinese juridical. So it's something putting some freeze between China and Canada, right? With also the Huawei case. So all those things put a bearish bears on the Canadian dollar. Index, in terms of index, we do also have neutral and bearish, as I mentioned. This is the 25,400 point to 24,970. It's the level, the crucial level, the 430 point that I show you on the charts. So it's very crucial because it's mixing the weekly POC and intermediary sell-off level, as we saw. So as long as we stay below, as I mentioned, I will be bearish on the index, even that we recover for 15% of the last bearish movement. Okay. And you have also the last one here. We do also, this is kind of very worrying about like the global debt between like different country, including United States, China. And that's why you can see sometimes that the dollar, US dollar index could also be strengthened because China has a huge exposition in terms of US dollar index basket. So if they threat to diminishing the quantity of the debt for the United States index, it's sometimes being said that they probably depreciating the currency, and then it's really putting some pressure on the dollar index. So the debt could just melt, and we don't see any interest between China and United States. So that's why you can see sometimes that the US dollar index could going up. It's not just because only politics. It could be also depreciation factor in terms of the yuan, so the Chinese currency, or also the spread between this pair, because again, the PBOC, Public Bank of China, has a huge exposition in terms of the dollar of the US dollar, okay, in their banks. So this one represents $0.2 trillion. And if the fact that China has the very painful terms of like the negotiation for the world trade, they could also inject a lot of money to the economy. So which is a kind of non-conventional macroeconomic policy. So it could also decrease the value of the yuan, and then also spiking up mechanically the US dollar index value. Okay, so this is like the factor that we can observe in terms of commodity. We do also have like bearish, as I said, neutral bearish to the gold, and it's also will be related to the hard Brexit or no deal, which is, and plus trade escalation between US and China. This is putting some bullish call because it's putting some like massive signal that people have to be diversified. But if you doing like the soft Brexit or bad deal, which is easing on trade negotiation, as we saw kind of a statement between like the Stephen Mnuchin and also a representative of China government, this one could put a neutral or bearish on gold. So that's why the more that you will hear about that, the fact that we do have some of positive echo between on the China and United States for the negotiation on the world trade, you will see that the gold will be also bearish. Okay, so this is the strategy that this is my own strategy that I will do. So here is all the strategy here. As I said, I don't want to make a long video, so you can doing the replay each time after. We will we will stop right now, and thank you so much for watching this proposal, and we'll see again for the next video. If you like it, please leave a comment and also share and like it, and you can ask any type of question below this video. Thank you so much. Was François Ablé. Bye bye.